Good morning. Good morning. This is Cecilia Marlowe with the Federal Savings Bank, also known as the Mortgage Mom. And today it is Tuesdays at 10ish. And I would like to actually share with you all a few things to assist you with your credit. So, Um, one of the things that I'm often asked about is, credit scores and how that relates to being approved for a mortgage. So today I thought that I would come to you and to talk about your credit score and what is actually in your credit score. Of course, we know that credit bureaus provide your lenders. Let me pause. Um, your credit score is actually based off of your payment patterns and the nature of the credit that you actually used. So there are a few things that are dictated as we look at your credit score. Number one, it's your credit performance. Number two, your current debt level. How much debt do you actually have? Number three, the depth of your credit file, or how long have you actually had established credit? Number four, have you recently added any new debt? And number five, the type of debt that you actually take on. So many people ask, how can I actually improve or protect my credit profile, right? Cecilia, I really want to purchase a new home. I'm not quite sure, exactly what I need to do. And what I'll share with you is that typically I am sharing with individuals one of the following things that we're going to talk about today. Number one, pay your bills on time, at least the minimum payment due. Your bills are being reported to the credit bureaus every single month. So please be sure to pay your bills on time. Number two, do not max out your credit card. So what does that mean? If you actually have $1,000 credit limit, you definitely don't want to have a balance or carry a balance of $800. Typically, you really do want to try and keep that credit limit at about 30%. So again, if you have a $1,000 credit card, try and keep the balance at about $300 or less. That's going to optimize your credit score. Next, you really do want to limit the number of credit cards that you have. I personally think three is a good rule of thumb in terms of, how many credit cards you want to have and not have them be maxed out. But more than three, what are we using them for? Okay, so limit the number of credit cards that you do have. Avoid impulse buying. Okay, so the good news is that we're all in the house right now. So unless you are on Amazon every day, plugging away and trying to see what they have for sale, then most of us are probably able to save a little bit more and spend a little bit less. So, all of the impulsive buying, I am hoping that, the pandemic is helping us to reverse those types of actions. Next is really big. You are responsible for all joint accounts that are opened, whether you are the individual first buyer or if you're the co-signer, you're still responsible. So I am personally not a fan of being a co-signer on anyone's loan. And I don't think that you should be either. And here's why. In the event that someone else is needing to utilize your credit profile because they can't attain the credit that they're looking for, that should really be a red flag that, hey, guess what? Maybe they haven't done the right things with their credit. And so I want you to really be mindful about that. And if someone hasn't taken the steps to protect and improve their credit, what would make you a good candidate for that? Will they think more highly of your credit? Probably not. In some instances, maybe a few, possibly, but I am not a fan of being a co-signer. Thumbs down on that one. And then review your credit report at least once a year. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can see all three of your credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. and you can actually see what's on your report. So I'm a big fan of, hey, if you want to ask somebody for credit, you probably want to at least have an idea what's on your credit profile already. There are other services out there, and I get this question all the time. Cecilia, my Credit Karma score. Cecilia, my freecreditreport.com score. Cecilia, my Visa account credit score. Those scores are going to be much different than when your mortgage lender pulls them, because there are several different types of FICOs, right? And so I won't go into all of that, but just know that your lender is going to have a very specific credit profile of you, and it's probably the most comprehensive one. So, do yourself the favor of at least taking a look at your credit report once a year at annualcreditreport.com so that you have an idea of actually what's there. And the next thing I'm going to share is pay your student loans on time. If they're in deferment or if you're in a forbearance, I highly advise that you put the date on the calendar of when you will start the repayment. I've seen a lot of times where we have student loans. I myself have student loans. It is probably one of the biggest debts outside of a mortgage that many of us will carry. And so you really want to make sure that you're being responsible about your student loan debt. I think I'm going to have to do a whole Tuesday at 10ish conversation around student loans, because there are some variations and variables about how that's looked at when you're applying for a home loan. But for right now, I want you to be protective, and I want you to ensure that you are paying attention to your student loan debt. And if you are in repayment, please pay it on time. So what can you do to boost your credit score? Okay, there are a few things that you can do. I got this nice little handy chart from the Balance, and it's called Things That Can Boost Your Credit Score. So number one, have open, active accounts in good standing. 3 at least. You want to have a couple credit cards. An installment loan is also good. If you are looking for credit cards that you can open, if you're looking to reestablish, I typically suggest that you start with a secure credit card, and we can have a conversation about what that looks like and what you should be doing in that space. But have open, active, good accounts. Number 2, diversify your credit accounts. So you don't want 6 credit cards and nothing else on your credit report. You want a healthy credit mix. So just for example, someone that has a mortgage loan, an auto loan, an installment loan, and 2 credit cards, and those are all paid on time, are typically going to have a higher credit score than someone that only has 3 credit cards. Okay. So let's try and diversify the types of credit accounts that you actually have. Again, I can't stress how important it is to pay your bills on time. I know that right now we're in a different type of life situation. However, the way that you really boost your credit score is to continue to pay all of your bills on time. And then reduce your debt balances. So again, if you've got a credit card and you've got a limit of $1,000, you want to get that down to $300, $200. You really don't want to have balances that are over 30% of your credit limit. And finally, get rid of negative information on your report. Now, this one I'm going to ask you to be a little bit conscious about. Sometimes you can have old accounts on your credit report that have been reporting, 7 years ago. And the integrous thing to do is to actually pay that debt off. But would you do me a favor and give me a call before you actually just start paying debts off? Because sometimes what will happen is you will attempt to begin repairing your credit by paying off old debt. And what it does is it makes it look like it's new. And if you have a payment arrangement set up, it's not going to actually be reflective on your account until that debt has been paid off. So there's a very strategic way in which you want to get rid of old negative information. So I hope that's been helpful for you today. Again, it's Tuesday at 10ish with the Mortgage Mom, Cecilia Marlowe with the Federal Savings Bank. And these have just been a few credit tips to help you get prepared for home ownership. I can be reached at area code 547-3677. And I look forward to talking with you guys real soon.